Haribol. Oh, yes. Now, you are Mridanga player. Oh, okay. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balamka Girvaradhari Gopi Jana Balamka Girvaradhari Yashodhanandana Bhakti-Radharangana Yashodhanandana Bhakti-Radharangana Yamunatira Manachare Yamunatira Manachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balamka Girvaradhari Gopi Jana Balamka Girvaradhari Yashodhanandana Bhakti-Radharangana Yashodhanandana Bhakti-Radharangana Yamunatira Manachare Yamunatira Manachare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Shri Radha Radhanath Ki, Sri Giri Govardhan Ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki, Sankirtan Yagya Ki, Gopremanandi. All glories to their Shamil devotees. All glories to their Shamil devotees. All glories to their Shamil devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Is it warmer here than in the temple room?
Way warmer.
Oh, it is. Okay. That's good.
Today's especially cold.
Yeah, right. I'm particularly opposed to cold weather. So, okay, we got our devices and all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 12. Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. Text 38. Iti Uttanapada Putro Dhruva Krishna Parayana Abhut Trayanam Lokanam Chuda Mandir Ivamala Ityutanapada Putro Dhruva Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanam Lokanam Chudamanir Ivamala Ityutana Pada Putro Dhruva Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanam Lokanam Chudamanir Ivamala Ityutana Pada Putro Dhruva Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanam Lokanam Chudamanir Ivamala
Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanam Lokanam Chudamani Rivamalaha Iti Uttara Prataputro Rupa Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanaya Lokanam Chudamani Rivamala.
Mataji's.
Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanam Lokanam Chudamani Rivamala Iti Uttana Padaputro Rupa Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanam Lokanam Chudamani Rivamala Iti Uttana Padaputro Rupa Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanam Lokanam Chudamani Rivamala
Iti, thus, Uttanapada of Maharaj Uttanapada, Putra, the son, Dhruva Maharaj, Krishna Parayana, fully Krishna conscious, Abhut became Trayanam of the three, Lokanam worlds, Chudamani the summit jewel, Eva like, Amala purified. Translation. In this way, the fully Krishna conscious Dhruva Maharaj, the exalted son of Maharaj Uttanapad, attained the summit of the three statuses of planetary systems. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The exact Sanskrit terminology for Krishna consciousness is here mentioned. Krishna Parayana. Parayana means going forward. Anyone who is going forward to the goal of Krishna is called Krishna Parayana, or fully Krishna conscious. The example of Dhruva Maharaj indicates that every Krishna conscious person can expect to reach the topmost summit of all three planetary systems within the universe. A Krishna conscious person can occupy an exalted position beyond the imagination of any ambitious materialist. Ityutana Padaputro Dhruva Krishna Parayana Abhutrayanam Lokanam Chudamani Rivamala. In this way, the fully Krishna conscious Dhruva Maharaj, the exalted son of Maharaj Uttanapad, attained the summit of the three statuses of planetary systems. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Navane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadi Shatarne Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, right, we're coming to the conclusion of the description of the life of Dhruva Maharaj, the attainments of Dhruva Maharaj, it's really, here and there in the Bhagavatam, we find different references to other parts of the Bhagavatam in the sense of expressing how wonderful they are. Like that. The Bhagavatam is glorifying the Bhagavatam. Like that, yeah. And in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, he really gets glorified. Dhruva Maharaj really gets glorified, and the whole pastime of Dhruva Maharaj really gets glorified for being exemplary in so many ways and educational and inspirational like that. It's wonderful. Well, that's the nature of Srimad Bhagavatam. We could just mention briefly that Srimad Bhagavatam is full of narrations about the Lord and the Lord's devotees and the different interactions, different pastimes that occur, which generally are very relevant to the devotees, like practical examples of how if you become Krishna conscious in this way or that, then wonderful results come in this way or that. So like that, Srimad Bhagavatam's a collection, you could say, of ideal examples illustrating what is Krishna consciousness, how to do Krishna consciousness, how wonderful is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, particularly, for the devotees, but particularly for the devotees. Yes, so all these different narrations of these different devotees and forms of the Lord doing all these wonderful things which we as aspiring would-be hoping to become sometime real devotees, we can really learn from and apply, actually. Yes, we can apply. The example of Dhruva Maharaj, at least his initial example, is one of extreme determination. And extreme determination. As a child, he went to the forest, 5-year-old child. It's interesting. His mother didn't exactly advise him to, but she said that when people want to find God, they usually go to the forest. And off he went, and she didn't stop him. At least there's no description of her telling him, hang on a minute. Just wait a minute. You're only 5 years old. Narada Muni does. Now, Narada Muni tells Dhruva that, look, you're a 5-year-old child. You can't do this. It's just, you just don't do things like this. That's it. You should just go back to the palace. Dhruva told him, I'm trying to find God. And I was told he's here in the forest. So here I am, trying to find him. And Narada Muni said, yeah, okay, he's in the forest, but God is also in the palace. Yeah, why don't you go back to the palace and find God there? Because he's there as much as he's here in the forest. But here in the forest, what you're going to eat? And, shelter and safety and how you're going to find all these things. Go back to the palace. God's there. You can find him. And at the same time, you can have nice deep-fried sabjis and puris and halava and milk and just Yeah. A much easier way of life. But Dhruva, he wasn't interested, he really wasn't interested, and he told him, listen, either you help me or just go away. You know, you're not going to help me, please leave me alone. So what an example of determination. And but then, of course, then he undertook his special fast program. We all know what it's like. Fasting for Janmashtami a couple of days ago. You know, and you reach, well, it depends, I suppose, but I reach kind of mid-afternoon, late afternoon, and then start thinking, well, okay, how many more hours? That sort of idea. Probably the rest of you don't do that. You probably just power through in Krishna consciousness. But he, want to speak of restricting his eating, he was restricting his breathing. Yeah. So we can't do that. But at least the principle, we can learn from the principle. And it is such an example in terms of principle, of determination. So Dhruva, yeah, he's very special. And he's described here as Krishna Parayana. And Prabhupada basically in the purport focuses on this particular term, Krishna Parayana. Parayana means going forward. Or, in the word for word, it's translated as fully Krishna conscious. And in the actual translation itself, it says fully Krishna conscious Dhruva Maharaj. And in fact, you know, I did a little research, and this term Parayana, of course, going forward is, you know, it's really very appropriate in relation to Dhruva Maharaj and in relation to what we all need to do in Krishna consciousness. More often than not, and even here it's in the word for word and in the purport, Krishna Parayana, Narayana Parayana, Vasudeva Parayana, all these different forms of the Lord, names of the Lord, Parayana, referring to a devotee, it means just really the topmost pure devotee, really highest level devotee. And that's what Dhruva Maharaj is. He is fully Krishna conscious. As the word for word and the translation Prabhupada says, fully. Fully is extremely, fully Krishna conscious. That's really Krishna conscious. That's not just sort of happy days are here again, Krishna consciousness. Let's have a nice kirtan. Oh, Haribol. It's another dimension of Krishna consciousness, actually, which is, generally speaking, inhabited by devotees like Srila Prabhupada, the 6 Goswamis, people like that. Then, Krishna Parayana, that's just right for them, because it means just like absolutely Krishna conscious. Yes. So, but Prabhupada's applying it here in a relevant way for us. Parayana means going forward. Anyone who's going forward to the goal of Krishna is called Krishna Parayana, or fully Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada says that this example indicates that every Krishna conscious person can expect to reach the topmost summit, well, of the planetary systems in the universe, or you could just say the topmost level of Krishna consciousness. Every Krishna conscious person, so that's all of you devotees. Look at that. That's all of you. You can expect to reach the topmost summit of Krishna consciousness, or the three planetary systems within the universe. Basically means the same sort of thing. Full Krishna consciousness. Yes, so just, keep working at it, Rukmini. Yeah. Keep going. Going forward. You've already, all of you, you've already covered a certain amount of ground en route to Krishna Parayana, or, full Krishna consciousness. It's true. It's true. We don't want to be proud and say, yes, I'm Krishna conscious, look at me. But we do have to acknowledge that the process works, and that as much as we may really try to follow the process and to really truly do our best, then we'll see that it is working on us. It is working on us. It's the mercy of Krishna, or the process of Krishna consciousness, which is, we could say, the same thing. It's not a matter of our qualification that we have all moved forward over the however long we've been involved in Krishna consciousness, particularly actually following it according to Prabhupada's standards. It's one thing to be humble. Well, it's very important to be humble. It's one thing to sort of hide behind humility, you could say, and in that way ignore the fact or overlook the fact that actually you have made some advancement in the time, whatever time you've been practicing Krishna consciousness. And it's not exactly to your credit, so it's not really a matter of pride, but it's a matter of recognizing Krishna's mercy on even the fallen and incompetent spiritually, recognizing the mercy and recognizing the potency of Krishna consciousness. And that's nice. That's very nice. And it doesn't really contradict the idea of being humble, as Govinda Maharaj used to say, or maybe still does, a humble bumble. Bumbling around in Krishna consciousness, trying to do something, but displaying shortage of competency from time to time. Yeah. So Dhruva Maharaj, though, he is there. He has reached. Now, of course, in Krishna consciousness, we can't say that someone has reached the topmost summit, which means there's nowhere further to go. I saw a photo, I don't know, maybe some last year or something. Whole lot of people, like 50 people, climbing Mount Everest. And they were all approaching the actual summit. And I mean, some were on the summit, and they were taking it in turns. Stand on the summit, get your photo taken, get off, next one on the summit. Yeah. And you can't go any further than that in that type of situation. That's it. That's the end. So Dhruva Maharaj, he's reached, Prabhupada says, the topmost summit of all planetary systems or Krishna consciousness. But still, because Krishna consciousness is transcendental to material considerations, you can still go further. Perfect, more perfect, most perfect, even more perfect, and even perfecter, mostest perfect. But there's no end to it. Even Srimati Radharani is advancing in Krishna consciousness every day. Yes. So, Dhruva Maharaj has reached what a state of Krishna consciousness. But he can and will and is going further, forward. That's one of the many wonderful aspects of what is Krishna consciousness. And in the case of Dhruva, it'll come up sooner or later. I don't think it's come up so far, has it? The benedictions. We haven't read the benedictions yet. If you read the story of Dhruva Maharaj and this and that will happen, it's coming then. At the end of, it's coming up. We will get there sooner or later. And you don't really find, like at the end of the story of Prahlad Maharaj, you don't really find exactly that. But if you read the story of Prahlad Maharaj, then this will happen and that will happen. But with Dhruva Maharaj you do, which indicates specialness, special even amongst the special. So, right, so we then as aspiring devotees, we can take encouragement from this, that actually every Krishna conscious person can expect to reach the topmost summit of all three planetary systems within the universe, or topmost summit of Krishna consciousness. In this case, Dhruva is or has gone to Dhruvaloka, which is, in a technical sense, maybe, is within the universe, but at the same time it's not, because it's a Vaikuntha planet. You might wonder how does a Vaikuntha planet get into a material universe, or how does a material universe accommodate a Vaikuntha planet? It's like a major rasa basa, or contradiction in one sense, because Vaikuntha planets are unlimited. Prabhupada explains that every Vaikuntha planet, and there's an unlimited number, each single one is bigger than the entire material realm. Yeah. But now here we have a Vaikuntha planet. It's a genuine Vaikuntha planet. It's not like, made out to look like, or something, an imitation or something, representation. It is the real thing. But it's within this universe, our funny, little, funky universe. So therefore, it's the topmost summit of the three planetary systems within the universe, in that sense. So Prabhupada says this indicates that we can all expect Interesting little thing I've been noticing. It's really just struck me in the last few weeks even, going through step by step Srimad Bhagavatam again, is how often Srila Prabhupada says, and it's really often, Prabhupada says, like he says here, that the example of Dhruva Maharaj indicates, if you do a search for the word indicates, you'll find it really appears a lot. In other words, Prabhupada is not just sort of forthright in the sense of saying that the example of Dhruva Maharaj shows like that, which is more sort of definitive, you could say, but indicates, it's an indication. Maybe if it's an indication, anyway, indication is not as strong as like it will, or it shows that. That's just an interesting little point I picked up. Indicates, it's all over Srimad Bhagavatam. All the purport, it's Prabhupada's pointing out that something has happened, and this indicates that something else is going to happen, or something along those lines. Yes. So anyway, the Krishna conscious person can occupy an exalted position beyond the imagination of any ambitious materialist. Yeah. Srila Jiva Goswami, in his commentary on verse 56, I think it's 56, Shri Akanta Kanta Parama Purusha, that verse in Brahma Samhita. In his commentary there, he makes the point that in Goloka, Lord Brahma makes the point that in Goloka, every step is a dance, every word is a song, and the water tastes like nectar. And there are various other things too. But he particularly points out those that if they're ordinary water, I just finished my water actually, and I can confirm it was ordinary water, warmed up a bit, thank you for that. It was ordinary water. But there, the ordinary water tastes like our best nectar. And, we've got a number of very accomplished cooks here. And if or when they ever do their best nectar that they could just somehow or other put together, it'll be quite outstanding compared to, H2O. Yeah. It'll just really be something quite different altogether. So, in Goloka, their ordinary water tastes like our best nectar. And Srila Jiva Goswami makes the point that if their ordinary water tastes like our best nectar, what does their nectar taste like? And similarly, if every step of theirs is like our best dancing, they're just walking along here or there. What is it like when they dance? And if every word of theirs is like our best singing, I'm not sure who our best singer is. Maybe it's Sarup Damodar. Anyway, whoever it is, our best singer is doing their best singing. It's like their ordinary talking, like, Haribol, how are you doing? Just, casual talk. As you've probably had the experience, I had it again a couple of days ago, I think on the weekend. someone comes up to me and says, "How are you?" And I didn't respond, and they said, "Fine, thanks." Really. Because it's just automatic pilot. When you ask someone how they are in South Africa, that they're just meant to ask, to say how they're meant to say fine, of course, because everybody's fine, and then say how are you, or and you, or something like that. Fine, thanks. So, yeah. So if every word is a song, then Jiva Goswami's, like, their ordinary talking is like our best singing. Then, so he says, what is it like when they sing? And he says, we have no experience of these things. We only have experience of our, whatever it is, which by our standards may be nice, but by those standards of the spiritual world, it's just not much at all, if practically nothing really. And therefore he says, as a result, because people cannot conceive of how wonderful Goloka Vrindavan is, it's just like so enigmatic, it's just a big question mark and that's it. Then he says that as a result, very few people want to go there because it just, as they used to say in Doctor Who when I was a child, it does not compute. Just doesn't. Can't deal with it. Can't even begin to deal with it. So therefore a Krishna conscious person can occupy an exalted position beyond the imagination of any, not just your average materialist, but an ambitious materialist who really, really wants the best somehow, best position in life. Yeah. So Krishna conscious person can occupy a position beyond, what to speak of beyond the desires or aspirations but of a materialist, but just beyond their ability to conceive, beyond their ability to imagine how nice it may be, how nice it is. Yeah. It's like, before I went to Mauritius for the first time, we went to Bobby Naidu's and to book the tickets. And they had brochures, many brochures of so many places around the world, including Mauritius. And so we had a look at a brochure, Visit Mauritius. And there are all these people, visiting Mauritius, happy days on the beach. And of course it's sunny all day, every day, and at night too. And like that. And then we got there. This was 1983. We got there, and practically the first thing that one of the devotees told us, local Mauritians, we really wish we could get off the island. Can you help us get to South Africa? True. So many of them, even now, they'd like to get off the island of Mauritius. But of course it's promoted as being super ecstatic amongst foreigners. So going forward, Krishna consciousness, of course, is a progressive process of personal, you can say, personal development, spiritual Krishna conscious development. It's not a ritualistic religious process where you just the person goes in front of the deities or the altar, whatever their tradition is, and prays for some material benefit, and then goes home and goes back to life as usual. Sits down, goes home, sits down, turns on the television and watches whatever, just not very inspiring thing happens to be on television. Yes. So Krishna consciousness, parayana means going forward. So we have to keep going forward. And we should pray to Krishna. Please help me, Krishna, I'm a bit slow on the uptake. Please help me to understand what can be my next step forward. Yeah. We should have that sort of attitude, mood, at least from time to time, that we ask Krishna. We can ask the spiritual master, we can ask the devotees, but we should be considering and looking into what our next step forward could be. Right, and keep on like that, going forward, and not become stagnant or think that we've made it and that's it, we're there. We may be there in the sense of in a much better situation than when we were entangled completely in material life. But in terms of the potential which is there in Krishna consciousness, we've just taken, it's more like sort of baby steps or that sort of thing. Yes. Prabhupada talks about a devotee like a sahajya. Sahajya, their idea is that they like to imitate the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Find a member, in different ways, but classically, find a member of the opposite sex, and I'll be Krishna and you be Radharani, and we'll have our pastimes. And they do that. It's really, anyway, they do that. It's really not right at all. And they're thinking as they're doing that, they're thinking they're advanced. They're actually thinking they're advanced. And they're thinking that, no, we don't need to do like regular sadhana. We don't need to chant so many rounds. We don't need to read literatures and become educated in Krishna consciousness. We're already Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada says that this sort of person is like, Prabhupada says, kacha jackfruit. Meaning, in this context, I'm sure you've all seen jackfruit trees, but sometimes on a jackfruit tree, you see one jackfruit, and it's like this size, but it's fully ripe. If you leave it there, it's not going to grow to the normal full size. It's not going to get any bigger. It's fully developed. But kacha basically means just sort of like refuse, just to be disposed of, can't really use it. So that tendency to think that I don't need to keep going forward because I'm already forward, I'm already advanced, it's like that. Then you restrict yourself. Because you think, I'm there. And therefore there's no need to aspire to go further forward because I'm already there. And in this way, you cheat yourself. So we need to keep this progressive type of attitude about ourselves and our lives in Krishna consciousness. And if we do that, we'll see that Krishna intervenes from time to time at least. He intervenes, he helps, he gives inspiration. We learn some lessons in this way and that way, in so many ways, and we manage to go deeper into Krishna consciousness. And that's what we want. That's what we need to do. So, yes, all of you Krishna Parayana, fully Krishna conscious, going forward souls, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Any comments or questions? Swarup Damodar Prabhu, some words of wisdom, correction. Anything?
When Prabhupada was speaking about the ambitious materialist, I was thinking that was Dhruva Maharaj. I mean, he had a really super ambitious material desire, probably unparalleled even up to today. It's greater than anything. And even he came to that realization eventually, that what he eventually got was so much more valuable than his initial desire of getting the whole creation, the kingdom. And he chants that beautiful verse where I was desiring pieces of broken glass, but now I've got this transcendental gem. Yeah, so he's quite an example at that age, how he developed that humble realization. Because children are not known to easily back off their desires, but he was able to do that.
Well, there's an important element in the picture. In his picture is that Narada Muni helped him. Narada Muni gave him a way, a process, like basically a kind of Ashtanga yoga type process, by which he could actually achieve what he wanted to achieve. But at the same time, it was, Krishna consciousness was in there without Dhruva knowing that this is going, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, this is going to produce a different result from this whole other program which Narada Muni had described for getting the kingdom. So, just really show. Ultimately his success, Dhruva Maharaj, of course the determination, so important, but without the mercy of Narada Muni, we don't really know what would have happened. It was just up to him. But he got the mercy, and it was through that mercy of Narada Muni that he managed to achieve the lotus feet of the Lord. Thank you. Yes.
So the 10th offense to chanting the holy names is to not maintain material attachments.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, with Dhruva Maharaj, but I guess maybe you kind of answered it because you said that he wasn't really aware that he was practicing Krishna consciousness, so maybe he didn't then intentionally make that offense.
Yeah. He didn't. In terms of process, he didn't really know what he was doing in technical terms. He was just, a fired up young boy. But Narada Muni sort of adapted his enthusiasm, his determination, without telling him that, this is going to have this effect, another effect. Yeah. So, otherwise, there have been many determined people. The Bhagavatam talks about how Kamsa, the gopis, Kamsa, Shishupal, the Pandavas, and the regular devotees like Narada Muni, they all achieved perfection, even Kamsa and Shishupal. They achieved perfection because they were all, including Kamsa and Shishupal, absolutely focused. Even though Kamsa, Shishupal, they were heavily negative, extremely, aggressively, offensively negative towards the Lord. But they achieved perfection. But then again, the example is given of Prithu Maharaj's kind of father, so to speak, Vena. He was also aggressively offensive, but not absolutely. So therefore, Vena did not achieve what Kamsa and Shishupal achieved of liberation. Vena went to hell because he couldn't focus absolutely. There were times when he just sort of got into other things other than his sort of anti-Krishna conscious mood. I guess he tried to enjoy being the king or something like that. So therefore, because he wasn't absolutely focused in extreme negativity, he just got an extremely negative result in the end. And even Narada Muni makes that point about that verse. He says, that these people, including Kamsa Shishupal, achieved perfection. He says, I think it would be better to be negative. So, maybe I should change my program, stop chanting my rounds, and become anti-Krishna. He's just saying that, but it's interesting. Is that okay?
Yes,
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mother Rukmini.
Martin, the Prabhupada, Sri Prabhupada is equating fully Krishna conscious with going forward in Krishna consciousness. And how would we address the thinking that for myself I can see the difference between my mind and my activities and the mind and activities of a fully Krishna consciousness?
Yeah. How to do what exactly?
How to, because in seeing that distinction,
Yeah.
and then we read Prabhupada's words, and it seems to be two different things.
Okay. Well, we are trainees. The little mango, baby mango, and the fully developed, if you've ever had Alfonso mangoes, there's a big difference. But it's still a mango. It's just a question of time, really. It is just a question of time, actually. So with us, with you, hang in there. You're doing better than what, I'm not sure how long you've been a devotee, but say 20 years ago, you're doing a lot better now than you were then. And you're doing, I would imagine you're doing better now than you were even, say, 5 years ago, although you were a devotee 5 years ago. Like that. So the process is working. But as Prabhupada said, sometimes when you're in the aeroplane, you're sitting there, the plane's flying, and you don't realize how high you are until you look out the window and then suddenly, oh gosh, we're really high up. So we have made some progress. And if we aren't able to recognize that, we're not really giving proper credit to Krishna for his mercy and the process for its potency, which is Krishna's mercy also. Like Prabhupada sometimes would express himself very, very humbly, really humbly. But sometimes he would say, in effect, that actually, yes, I am a Mahabhagavat. Yeah. Yeah. He pointed out that some of his godbrothers, sometimes they wouldn't give credit for his spreading Krishna consciousness around the world. And he says they don't give credit to the Mahabhagavat who's spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. It's not exactly a contradiction, but there is scope, and it's necessary to recognize how Krishna consciousness has helped us from, the sort of rotten people we were. Yes.
On this point about Parayana going forward, sometimes as devotees we practice and we reach certain accolades, initiation, second initiation, and you think, okay, now that's the plateau, that's what we wanted to get to, that summit, take out the picture, and we can get sometimes, comfortable there, it's nice, and if we're being asked to, like by our spiritual master, okay, let's do something more, and we have all sorts of intelligent, resistant techniques to avoid these things.
Right.
And that seems to be like going against the principle of being fully Krishna conscious. So, how does that come into our consciousness that we just want to be comfortable at this plateau that I've reached? And how do we snap out of that?
Well, it's part of conditioned mentality. Familiarity breeds contempt, and we reach a comfort zone, and we feel that's it. That's where I need to be. It's where I should be, and I am, and so that's enough. Yeah, material life. There's very few people. Prabhupada talks about an ambitious materialist. There are very few people who are as ambitious as, say, someone like Napoleon or, whoever, certain people who really, really went on to become outstanding. There's this tendency to reach a plateau, a comfort zone type of thing, and feel that's it, and I don't need to go further, and there's no sense or need or advisability to go forward. I'll just sort of solidify my position here. Like some people have told me when they got married, a few young ladies, frankly, have told me over the years, when they got married, they thought, that's it, I'm there. And even we had a joke, it's a Chatsworth joke, that when the girl gets married, then that's it, she parks off. The term is to park off. You just park off at home and just carry on. Cook nicely, have a nice little Chatsworth housey type of thing. And that's it. That's all you need. You got there. You made it. But there's a lot more. There's a lot more even to material life than that. So, well, I would say an important factor in terms of what to do about it, if we recognize the tendency in ourselves, is, obviously to try, but I think an important thing to do is to cultivate prayer along those lines to the Lord, to the spiritual master, the great personalities. Please help me to see, to not become complacent and just sort of self-satisfied in a certain sense. But please help me to see and appreciate that there's further to go, there's more to achieve, and that I can achieve it. And then one can become inspired to, instead of being satisfied that now I'm the head pujari or head something, I could become the temple president. And then after that, the regional secretary. And then after that, anyway, something. How does that sound? I mean, it's a thought. And many things could be said. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.